What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Moon Knight issue number 22. In this issue, Tigra is going on the hunt. Now, Moon Knight and Tigra, they share a complicated history. Originally, she was sent to spy on the Midnight Mission on behalf of the Avengers. But finally, after coming clean, she has become one of Moon Knight's closest allies. But after Moon Knight decides he's not going after an old adversary that is showing up on the scene, the person known as Midnight Man, Tigra decides she's gonna take things into her own hands. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so we are picking up with Tigra, her kid, and Moon Knight watching the evening news. The news is out there. The Midnight Man is back. They know this because he is leaving behind his calling card, which is a pocket watch left on Midnight. Tigra is wondering if they're gonna do anything about this, but Moon Knight has no plans to do so. And while these used to be one of his adversaries, he points out that both of them have died, one of them by his own hand. Moon Knight believes that this has to be nothing more than a copycat, and so in his eyes, this has nothing to do with them or the Midnight Mission. And according to the news, he has only been ripping off gangsters and breaking into rich people's houses. It has nothing to do with what has been going on with him. But this isn't enough for Tigra. She wants some answers and she wants to know what is going on. If Moon Knight's not gonna handle the situation, then she is. That's where she meets up with Flint the next day. Her predator instincts are going. They are running like a chainsaw. This has a hold on her and she is not gonna stop until she knows who the Midnight Man is. Being able to get all the files that the police currently has, she pins it up on her wall and she begins to investigate. Midnight Man number 3 appears a few months ago. For a while, he seemed to be doing the superhero trip, or at least sort of. Beating up gangsters, beating up the bad guys, and taking their money, leaving behind the clock reading midnight. But then he starts hitting law-abiding citizens' homes. But he wasn't stealing their money. This is when William asks if his father was rich, because Tigra says that if you're filthy rich, there is no way that you get that rich without being dirty. But Hank from time to time was definitely rich. He was a smart man, and he was not a man that was dirty. Though he did have his problems, he was a hero, one of the best. One night later, we are sitting on the rooftop of Tony Stark. Tigra using his Wi-Fi, uploading some things for family and friends, of photos of William, so on and so forth, but also investigating. She has been looking and looking for some kind of link between all of these rich people. All 4 of the people who got robbed had their parents torn apart in a wild animal attack years ago. Going off this little information, we see her meet up a little bit later with Hawkeye. Hawkeye now being a Thunderbolt, he even offers her a badge to be a Thunderbolt. But she was a Defender. This is something that she's not looking to go back into. But getting some information from him, this is where she goes to find the Midnight Man. Made a list of a bunch of rich folks. Parents all died from the same time under incredibly gruesome circumstances. Of the ones still alive, only one hasn't been hit by the Midnight Man. And so Tigra waits. She stalks the shadows and she waits. It doesn't take long, but he shows up. And that is where Tigra is there to meet him. The two of them beginning to tussle. Taking him by surprise, she is able to jump on him. This is when he starts calling out her name. Ripping off the mask, it reveals to be Mark. And right now, Tigra is extremely livid because Mark lied to her. He goes on to explain that he needed the money after Zodiac had took all of his funding, that he had to pay Reese, he had to pay Soldier, he had to pay for everything. So he started ripping off gangsters, even Hydra. He knew that Moon Knight couldn't do this, so he did it. As the Midnight Man, he brought it back. With tears coming down Tigra's face, she says that she knows. She was talking to Hawkeye, and he kinda pulled the same stunt. But Moon Knight kept doing this. Eventually, it led him to all those houses. These people, their parents belonged to a group called the Committee. They used to go after Jack Russell, the werewolf, before he killed them. And then the masked individual, the guy who had taken over the DJ booth the other night, he was sent after Russell by the committee, and now they know who he is. Sydney Sarnak, a sonic mind controller. As he goes on and on and on talking about how he's figured all of this out, Tigra tells him to stop because he really has no understanding of how bad she is hurt right now. She has had his back. She flipped on the Avengers for him. She thought that they had trust between one another only to see that he has been lying. And while he tries to say that it's not a big deal, she tells him that he is not the one to decide this. This is when she brings up the fact that she hates lying. Even to this day, she has to lie to her son, something that she despises, because William's father, it wasn't Hank, it was the Skrull spy Creedy Knoll. She had replaced Hank when he was working for the Initiative before the invasion, but she is already dead. She is dead, and so is Hank, the real one who she did love. And so she lies to her son and she tells him that her father was a hero, going on to say that she walked into a vampire conclave with him, ran through a tomb dimension, fought psychotic mercenaries on the street with an army of zombies. She did all of this for Moon Knight, for Mark. And after all of that, you lying to me tells me that you cannot trust me. You can't even take your mask off in front of my son. And so she takes off, leaving Mark to think about all of this on his own on that rooftop. She heads home. Not long after, there's a knock at the door. When Tigra goes up to answer it, she sees that it is Mark. No Moon Knight, just Mark. He lets her know that the only thing he has ever been good at is hurting people, that he's extremely good at it. But sometimes, not often, but often enough, the people that he hurts are the ones that he loves. He knows that he should have trusted her, and that she was right. This is where he brings time bandits for all of them to watch together. Tigra, unable to stop herself, she goes in and she kisses Mark, obviously accepting his apology. She grabs hold of Mark, bringing him inside, saying that Mark is here, and she thinks that they are now boyfriend and girlfriend. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. So not a bad issue. This one's not really moving the plot forward of everything going on with the vampires, so on and so forth. But it is an interesting story, because we're seeing the relationship between Tigra and Moon Knight truly develop. Now, they have been working side by side for quite some time now. And when you work in close proximity to somebody like this for a significant amount of time, you're both single, it's inevitable that you might catch feelings. And that seems to be the case exactly in this situation. And I kinda love it. I kinda like the idea of them being together. Now, let's be honest, this relationship's probably not gonna last. Moon Knight mentally is just not capable of having and holding on to a long-term relationship. And Tigra, at the end of the day, she has her kid to worry about. But at least for the moment, these two have found love. They have found some kind of companionship in one another. So it's gonna be interesting to see this relationship blossom, to see where it might lead later on down the line. Both of them have a lot of baggage, both of them have a lot of trauma, a lot of things that they have to deal with. But just maybe they can deal with these things as a unit. Maybe they can deal with them together. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this series, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with Moon Knight. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50. From loyalty badges to getting comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. If you are unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.